I represent a different wing in the Democratic Party. It's the wing that Mamdani won with in New York City.
Replacing Schumer is cool, but it doesn't make a difference if you get another corporatist Dem who leads the moderates to continue to be controlled by corporate interests, by special interests, by the healthcare lobby, by APAC, by Wall Street. So if you really want to know why this shutdown came, really want to know why this shutdown cave happened, here's what occurred. It has been widely assumed that the group of 8 mostly centrist Senate Dems who have been looking to broker a hollow deal on Republican terms were freelancing. No. In fact, they were acting with the express approval of Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer and were reporting to him daily. The cave-in began at Thursday's Senate Democratic Caucus meeting. Chuck Schumer had been publicly insisting that any deal to continue Trump's current budget had to add continued subsidies for the ACA. But privately, Schumer was encouraging a centrist gang of 8 to keep negotiating with Republicans and settle for a lot less. These 8 are not the only ones who would have voted this way. It's not like 8 rogue senators just abandoned the rest of the caucus. Most of the moderates in the caucus would have taken this vote if asked. Although 8 members of the Democratic caucus ultimately ended up voting for the deal to reopen the government, those who backed the deal said more Democratic senators privately agreed they just couldn't or didn't want to take the heat for joining them. Tim Kaine, there were a lot more than 8 that were really happy that the 8 of us voted the way that we did. They were guided by Schumer the whole way. The big problem is Schumer, but it's not. The real problem is that the Democratic Party is controlled by corporate interests.
It's not Schumer. Look, it goes deeper than Schumer. There is a division within the Democratic Party. All right, Chuck represents the establishment wing. The corporate wing raises a lot of money, as do Republican leaders. They raise zillions of dollars from wealthy people and super PACs and all that stuff. I represent a different wing in the Democratic Party. It's the wing that Mamdani won with in New York City.
Replacing Schumer is cool, but it doesn't make a difference if you get another corporatist Dem who leads the moderates to continue to be controlled by corporate interests, by special interests, by the healthcare lobby, by APAC, by Wall Street. So if you really want to know why this shutdown cave happened, here's what occurred. It has been widely assumed that the group of 8 mostly centrist Senate Dems who have been...
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. In the words of Rakim, I know it's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a strong show to step to. Think of how many weeks shows you slept through. Torre is absolutely right. Bernie Sanders is absolutely right. Can't disagree at all. You had 8 willing to take the hit publicly for the other punks who won't show their faces and who didn't have to vote with the Republicans because they already had their 8. So Dick Durbin and John Fetterman, they were always They were always going to do something like this. And so this is why they, and in his words, they caved. Um, they lost this fight a long time ago. Let's face it. They lost it with this big ugly bill. The big ugly bill. You're learning more and more about it, and that's the other thing. Democrats, you guys don't read in that bill, folks. One of the things that I discovered in that bill um, was that the Republicans slipped in that they cannot be investigated for January 6th, and that all their communications on January 6th could not be discovered. Why would they put that in the bill? And why would Democrats not bring that up? Why would they make a big fuss about it? It comes down to what Touré brought out: corporate dollars. It's not just those 8 Democrats. David is saying only 5 actually changed their minds. Right, because Fetterman was always there. Durbin, you could never trust. But however, there, like he said, and I'm really of the belief it's more like 38 than 8. It's no question in my mind. They have never been. They have been for better interest for you than the GOP, but they have never been for your best interest. It's a few of them. It's a handful. There's the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, who really wants the best interest for everyone. But there's not many like her, and that's really the reality of what we see and what's going on. So this whole fight, many of them got to protect their privilege. They're gonna hold on to that privilege because at the end of the day, when all else fails, most of them still got that privilege, and that is really the bottom line. And it also shows you what a lack of leadership results in. It's a lack of leadership. Democrats have no real leaders. Hakeem Jeffries, is he a leader? What he's shown over the past year is no, he's not the one that you want to be in the foxhole with. Schumer has shown his colors forever. Why are we surprised? Why are we surprised? And so when we want, it's no sense in criticizing them anymore. Really isn't any sense in criticizing them anymore. This is what you're going to get. And so when you have, it's certainly not encouraging, folks, but when you have a Chicago flips red and you have these butter biscuit eating MAGAs running around, you kind of understand from this point, they have decided they're going to be the House Negroes. And they'd rather be the House Negro. They've given in. They've capitulated. So this is where we're at. Now, I'm not saying that other folks should do what Chicago Flip Fred and those other foolish people have done. But what I'm saying is you get a better understanding. Not everybody's built for this. And so now the House is going to pass this thing. And of course, it opens up people's Epstein. Folks, this is what I'm seeing now today from Mike Johnson and the rest of the MAGA crew. You're never going to see that. It's not going to happen, even though they're going to swear in the Democratic rep from Arizona who will have that 218th vote. Here's why you'll never see it. Mike Johnson has signaled that he will never bring it to floor for vote. He will never bring it to the floor for vote. In addition to that, even if he were to bump his head and decide to bring it to the floor for vote, remember, you need 60 Senate votes. Not happening. So this idea that this was all about the Epstein files, it wasn't about the Epstein files. They already took care of that. It's been done, settled. They've hid it. They have discarded the victims. They don't care about the victims because their big fish is so heavily involved in the Epstein files. So, folks, stop letting these things, be distractions. Do what you need to do to protect your family. Nobody else is doing it. If you're looking for outsiders, if you're looking for politicians, if you're looking for even people who run companies, they're not going to protect your family. They're not going to protect you. Do what you need to do. That's really my message. This whole idea of, I know people hate it when I say it, but this idea of you need to swarm the polls, swarm the polls. The guy got control of the polls. He got control of it. Until y'all can fix that, good luck with that, as they say. And now Chief Nakahoma, the Chief Epstein protector, is now saying that he wants to go and offer 50-year mortgages. 50-year mortgages, folks. Unbelievable. That means that, you know what that means? That means that you'll be renting from the bank forever. Forever. 30 years is bad enough, especially say if you're 35 years old or 40 years old, getting a 30-year mortgage. That means you're 70 years old when you pay it off. If you're 50, you're 80 when you pay it off. Now imagine 50-year mortgages. Are you kidding me? And so a $300,000 house, for instance, under a 50-year mortgage would cost you in the end $1.8 million under this structure. That means you would put a million, almost $2 million into a $300,000 house. If you decide to sell it after the 50 years when you're old and decrepit and can't really move around because of arthritis, et cetera, you can only get $300,000 out of the $2 million you put in. It's insane. Yes, Dr. Marilyn, 50 years is insane. This is Donald Trump's, this is MAGA man's big plan to start having the house market move. 50-year mortgages. I feel sorry for anybody who decides that they want to take out a 50-year mortgage. You know, the reasoning would be, instead of me paying, $1,000 a month, I'll pay $600 a month. I mean, come on, give me a break. Give me a break. And you got the sycophants, like the Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte, calling it a complete game changer. It's more to enslave you, folks. It's more to make sure that those chains are tightly around your wrist and your ankles. And that is the bottom line. And Aquarius says, anyone dumb enough to sign up for a 50-year mortgage, I have no comment. I think we got a video. Okay. We'll get it
in our country, in our society. So now they're looking at maybe doing 50-year mortgages, 50-year mortgages. So I'm just doing the old Ben Franklin, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing. Like, what are the pros? Obviously, lower payments, increased affordability. So those are the two obvious ones. But on the con side, you got much higher interest payments over time. So the actual value of the home goes up dramatically. It feels like you're potentially like renting from the bank, if you will. And the bigger issue is you're going to have lower equity buildup, right, over a much longer period of time. So I'm curious, affordability is a major factor. I recently did a poll, maybe you saw it in Instagram, where I asked the question, what do you think is the biggest challenge real estate professionals are facing today? And affordability by far was the #1 answer. But I'm curious in the comments below, what's your opinion, and which of your friends will have a bigger opinion on this? Send it to them. I can't wait to read the comments.
I can't wait to see. I'm seeing our comments here. Orange G says, I will keep it real. Only a dummy will sign up for a 50-year mortgage. Patricia Jackson says, how disappointed. Dr. Marilyn says, but what you can do is sign up for 50 and pay off in half. That is if things work out. But the economy, who's going to say that the economy, who can confidently say that the economy is going to get better? Who can say that? Because this dictator doesn't plan to leave anywhere. He's building a $300 million mansion at the White House that says I ain't going nowhere, among other things that he's doing. he's got the as we said, he got the elections pretty much rigged, or at least set up to be rigged. Where's he going? And the point of this administration, folks, is cruelty. And their cruelty is not about it's not about okay, we've done enough. There's no bottom. There's no bottom. They're going so low, they get to hell and they say it's not hot enough. So forget about it. Are you kidding me? They're going lower and lower and lower. Also, just so you guys will know, if you wonder where our esteemed co-pilot is this morning, I guess she decided she needs a little bit more beauty sleep. So she couldn't be with us this morning, but we fully expect her to be well rested and back tomorrow. So, and by the way, speaking of tomorrow or in the future, on Friday, folks, by popular demand, and I know many of you, David Youngblood, among them, and Mike V, have asked for this. But by popular demand, your demand, on Friday, we will have Karine Jean-Pierre as our special guest. So stay tuned. We got some good stuff coming up. We may have been away a couple of days, but we came back bearing gifts. We got you covered. We got you covered. House Democrats investigating convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking sent the UK's former Prince Andrew a letter requesting a formal interview seeking information about the deceased Epstein's co-conspirators and enablers. Well-documented allegations against you, they wrote, along with your long-standing friendship with Mr. Epstein, indicate that you may possess knowledge of his activities relevant to our investigation, is what the letter said. So we know that King Charles, his brother, Andrew's brother, stripped him of his titles and kicked him out of the royal circle. You know, boy, that's seriously brotherly love. Is that brotherly love or is that tough love, y'all? Tell me. Is what King Charles did brotherly love or tough love? Which one is it? Or he just didn't want to be associated with that type of scandal, and I couldn't blame him. Couldn't blame him at all. Patricia Jackson says, dismantle so you obey. He loves the uneducated. Daniela Pierre says, if there is no penalty to prepayment, pay it off early by doubling up on the payments. But once again, and I get it, Daniela Pierre and others who's saying that about the 50-year mortgage, folks are barely able to pay their mortgage now. So I'm not sure there's a whole lot of optimism about paying double. But I mean, it's based on everybody's situation, granted. But when you look at the economy as a whole, you look at how it's continually tanking, and you look at the fact that we are now at almost an all-time high in Black unemployment and Latino unemployment. Who is this benefiting? And so they're again, I'm not trying to be in nobody's pocket. I'm just looking at the overall view here of what's going on. And there's a chart that shows the 15, 30, and 50-year mortgage for $300,000 home prices. Oh my gosh. And there you have it. So if you get a 50-year mortgage based on that chart, you're paying a little less than $1,300 a month instead of over $2,000 a month, according to that chart. But again, that depends on the interest rate that you got, your credit rating, and also to lure you into it. And I think somebody in the chat did mention this earlier, that the credit bureaus, well, at least Fannie Mae, I won't say the credit bureaus, but Fannie Mae is going to lower the required credit score for you to get a mortgage. Boy, oh boy, they are really coming at you in all ways, right? But you're paying double for the property, exactly. And they gave the stat I read earlier about the 1.8 million. It was a stat on somebody. They gave certain interest rate, certain down payment, etc. And this is what their payments would look like which would total about $2 million in payments on a $300,000 house. Patricia Jackson says doubling up is good if you can, but most often you can't. Predatory lending, like cars finance way too long. And RNG, going back to the former Prince Andrew, RNG says that if Andrew had an ounce of humanity in his body, he would tell it all. But we all know, he says, quote, pedals protect pedals. And again, Patricia Jackson is not dismissing that. She says, but people will see low payments and think it's great, when in fact it's the opposite. That's the point. So we know there's a whole lot of shenanigans going on, and will continue to go on. And I will say it again, folks. Do your best to protect you and yours. We have there is no MLK. There's no Malcolm X. There is no Marcus Garvey's today. Do what you can. That Underground Railroad is what is what we all gonna be looking for shortly. I'm guarantee you that. On the lighter side, on the brighter side, the musical adaptation of Prince's Purple Rain finally opened in Minneapolis ahead of a potential Broadway run. Now, critics have noted that the show's energy is great, but suggested it needs further refinement despite strong audience reactions and the involvement of Prince's former collaborators. Now, people, of course, when they say how enthusiastic the folks were, well, it premiered in Minneapolis. So they could have just painted the stage purple and they would have given it rave reviews. So in Minneapolis, come on, let's be real. But certainly it is nice to know that they are doing something like this in honor of Prince. And it is coming to Broadway. Speaking of Broadway, there's a couple of things, and we'll get into this at a later date when Niele is back. But there's some great Broadway plays, not musicals, but plays that are coming up in the 2026, in spring of 2026. Talk about it a little bit later, like I said, when Niele gets back. But I've noticed that, like, for instance, Cedric the Entertainer and Taraji P. Henson is going to team up for one of August Wilson's plays. It's going to be a lot more than that too. But check those out. And soon, I guess, we'll get Purple Rain on Broadway. And staying in the theme of music and music greatness, the curtain has finally lifted on one of Hollywood's most anticipated films. Lionsgate has unveiled the official trailer and release date for Michael, the sweeping biopic about Michael Jackson that has been years in the making. Antoine Fuqua directed the film, and it's going to arrive in theaters on April the 24th, with the singer's nephew, Jafar Jackson, stepping into the spotlight to portray his legendary uncle. Should be so interesting. I was always amazed. I have been amazed, I should say, about the selection of Jafar, who, based on everything that we've seen so far in the trailer, has done a magnificent job. And they couldn't really go wrong on the nephews, because they all look like Michael Jackson. For real. I mean, the first Michael Jackson, the 80s Michael Jackson, they all look like him, and they all are very talented. That's an extremely talented family. And so it's going to be very interesting. And folks are already predicting that this is going to have the biggest box office in history. So we will see. We will see as Michael hits theaters next year. I've heard people already, I'm going to see it. I'm not sure if I'm going to see it or not. Not sure. But we will see. Folks, the National Newspaper Publishers Association is the trade association for more than 200 African-American owned newspapers and media companies across the United States that you know as the Black Press of America, which has been around for almost 200 years. In fact, we're about 13 months shy, or 14 months shy of the 200th, what would be a historic 200th anniversary. 1827, folks, March 16th is when the Black Press was born in New York, with Freedom's Journal, and the organization is now seeking to raise about $500,000 to develop new programs, including research and industry standards that will combat disinformation, strengthen our member publishers, significantly benefit everyone in our field, and help us save local journalism. Since its founding, the NNPA and our membership have consistently been the voice of the Black community and an incubator for news that makes history and impacts our country. As the largest and most influential Black-owned media resource in America, the NNPA delivers news, information, and commentary to over 20 million people each and every day online, and 22 million print readers weekly. Just a quick little story about the power of the Black press that continues. We still have that power. We still have some. And as one example, and I'm sure that he doesn't mind telling it, I'm not gonna say the company, but I will say this. NBA Hall of Fame Isaiah Thomas, just a couple of years ago, was speaking with Greer and I, and he was telling us about a certain chain. He has this Sherlon's champagne, which all of the experts, wine and champagne experts, says is probably the best out there. And this large chain refused to carry it. And I think I got the impression that Isaiah may have seen and didn't really want to get down in the mud with this company, because he kind of, I got the impression, he didn't say this, make it clear, I got the impression he saw what was happening with Diageo and Diddy at the time, and look where Diddy ended up, right? But I think he didn't want to do too much or say too much. We reached out to that company, and immediately, folks, they called Isaiah and said they didn't want the smoke from the Black press. Well, Isaiah got his deal. That's the power, folks, that the Black press still holds today. Well, at least let it be known holds. Let's be real. It was Greer and I. So support the Black press. There is, if you care to contribute to that online, go to blackpressusa.com, and you will see exactly what I just relayed to you about the NNPA, and there's a donation button there. There it is, donate to the National Newspaper Publicists Association. You can hit that, help us out, and hopefully we will get to a point where we can celebrate and celebrate that 200th anniversary, and we can all be happy. Hopefully our leaders will hold it down, because again, since just before Trump, I think every industry, especially Black, has been absent of real strong leadership. And so let's see how things go from here. Some Black history facts. On this date in 1994, track and field great and Olympic star Wilma Rudolph died in Tennessee at the age of 54. What a talent Wilma Rudolph was. And this was the date that she died, back in 1994. She was in Nashville when she passed away. You remember she had the various ailments that eventually she succumbed to at the young age of 54. So we remember Wilma Rudolph. And our Black-owned newspaper of the day is Black Voice News. Black Voice News is the first Black American online news publication on the West Coast of the United States. It was founded in 1972 as a print newspaper. It was still active and had moved. It is still active, I should say, and it has moved to an online publication, and they are doing quite well, it seems. So support your local Black-owned newspapers. They need it now more than ever before. Again, folks, go to blackpressusa.com for the latest in your local newspaper, whether you're in Washington, Baltimore, St. Louis, Indianapolis, Los Angeles, San Diego. Check out the latest in your Black-owned newspaper. And again, join us Friday for our conversation with former White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. And until then, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Bye.